Today is Thursday the 26th of February and this is the first of my video diary updates. You're probably wondering why I'm doing a video journal. It's basically because I didn't really get on that well with the learning journal. I really like sort of talking about how I feel and how the project's going and stuff, but I find with the learning journal I find it very difficult to get to the point and talk about the things that matter without waffling. I'm very much a waffler. Throughout all of my projects, even with annotating different pages and artists and stuff, I waffle, and you sort of have to look for the point that I'm trying to make. I find that with a video journal I'll be able to just sort of blurt it out, say what I need to say, and then I can edit it down if I need to. As well as that, I think it would be much more interesting sort of for me, because I prefer doing this kind of thing. Also, just for the people who are going to be looking at my project, I think it's quite nice to see something new and refreshing and bring sort of like an extra sort of flair of me. So last week I went on one of the educational trips. I went to Berlin. The cool aspect of it, being able to go to Stasi prison and see the actual rooms that, you know, sort of the German community would be held in, sort of everyday people doing nothing wrong, being tortured in both physical and psychological ways. It sort of makes it so real when you see it in person. And it's the same with the Jewish museum. Like, they had objects that belonged to the people that died in the Holocaust. They're not just people in a story that you've heard from a history book, they're actual people. Like, they're a physical person, and when you see an item that they held, it suddenly becomes their personality. And it's kind of sad that maybe that item is the only thing left of them. It makes you kind of think about your family and sort of how it would affect you personally, and it is really quite emotional, but really interesting, and I love sort of reading into sort of all of those things. Also went to a few galleries. One of the galleries that stood out for me was one that had Andy Warhol in one of the exhibitions. Andy Warhol's one of the artists that has always been someone I've known of throughout, like from GCSE upwards. And it's really odd to be able to see his work in front of me. I found it really interesting. So when it's someone that you've seen like over and over again, and then you see their work, it's really quite incredible. And I think that's what's nice about being able to travel the world and see different things that you would not be able to see at home. Another great thing was the fact that I met so many people that I didn't know. Kind of put it into perspective of how big the foundation is. Because there were people I had honestly never seen before in my life, and they were on the foundation programme, and I don't know, it just seemed odd that I'd never even spoken to them before, so it was nice to meet new people. So the final project I am so excited for. I'm doing mine based on Alexander McQueen, who has always been a big inspiration for me. He did textiles A-level, and throughout my textiles A-level I was just really interested in his work, and I sort of got the opportunity to do my own project. I thought, what better way to sort of incorporate him into what I want to do. It's nice to be able to sort of incorporate such a big interest, and I think I'll be really interested throughout the project, because I don't think I could ever get bored of his work. I mean, the more I look at it, the more exciting it is to me, the more I love it. Before deciding on this brief, I actually had a different one, which was based on country and their culture. The problem with that brief was I didn't exactly know what it was. Like, now I look back, it was so jumbled. My context wasn't there. Basically, I had decided that the V&A were creating an exhibition for displaying contemporary interpretations of different countries and cultures, as a contrast to the traditional items that they hold at the V&A. I wanted to do like a photography sort of image, which featured like a set sort of background design based on the culture, as well as makeup and the hair and the whole photography piece. And I think the biggest problem with that was the fact I was trying to be more than one person. I wasn't just a makeup artist, I was also the set designer and the photographer and whatever else I wanted to do. I was talking about sort of wearable sculpture, which goes into like a whole new sort of realm of art. When I was there with my tutor Simon talking about everything, I just didn't get what he meant. And as soon as I sort of scrapped the whole idea and started sort of brainstorming and thinking of a new one, that's when I realised sort of the fact that I didn't know exactly who it was for or what I was doing it for, who I was in the process, whether I was a makeup artist or whatever. It was nice to sort of clear my mind, start again, and I just sort of scrapped the whole culture thing. I thought, no, I'm too confused with that, I'm just going to go for something else. And then I started thinking about sort of haute couture fashion. It's always been an interest. I sort of looked at it and I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I wanted to do. As soon as I looked at it, I was interested. I didn't have to think about it too hard. And then I thought, hang on, Alexander McQueen, one of the people who I've always loved throughout all of my sort of art and textile work, you know, why not base it on him? And I think as a person, he's a very interesting person. I mean, I'll be able to look into his personal life, his whole relationship with Isabella Blow. I think it would just be really interesting to kind of incorporate his background and his personal life into the inspiration for my designs, because obviously his life was such an inspiration for him. Why not transfer it into my designs? I'm doing really well on it, I think, so far. I'm kind of doing well, keeping to my time plan. I've sort of looked into all of my research and photos from Berlin, and I've been working from those to kind of get a kickstart into sort of finding inspiration from places and practicing with techniques. Tomorrow I'm just going to be starting on analysing McQueen's designs and jumping straight into what his work's about and everything. So I'm really excited for this project. I think it's going to go well, and I'm looking forward to doing more video diaries as well, because I think it's, you know, it's going to be fun. And I'm hoping that this one was alright, really. But yeah, thank you. See you later. Hello, today is Thursday the 5th of March, and this is my second video diary entry for this project. This week I've been analysing and annotating Alexander McQueen's designs, choosing like his my favourite and the ones I think are maybe most influential. I've been picking apart the designs, looking at the colour, the textures, the shapes, and the general theme. In response to the designs and my research, I've been creating pen, ink and watercolour makeup designs, as well as hair designs. I've been doing makeup designs on Photoshop to sort of have a look at different platforms, different ways of designing makeup and how you do it in the industry. I'm a little behind on my time plan already, which is not what I wanted. I think I've maybe given myself too much for the time. I think I've been a bit ambitious, but I can work on that. I'm going to look at my time plan, see what I've got, see if everything that I have is relevant to the project, and see if I can take some bits out to sort of compromise the more important research and things. This week I've had to already take out further research on the design themes of the dresses that I've looked at. It's partly because I haven't had as much time as I wanted, but also because I felt I haven't quite done enough research yet. I feel I haven't kind of grasped the themes properly yet, and I want to have a look into more of McQueen and more of other relevant artists as well, and then look more into the themes, because I think if I look into themes now, I'll maybe look at the wrong themes and be too in depth, and then it would have sort of been a waste of time and wouldn't be as handy. So I'm going to save that for later on when I do my design development. So moving on from looking at primarily McQueen's designs, I watched McQueen and I, which is a documentary about McQueen's personal life, his life within the fashion industry, and also his relationship with his muse Isabella Blow. It was really, really interesting. You found out a lot about his personal life and all the emotions that came with his depression that he had, his relationship with Isabella Blow, the emotions that came with the pressures of being in the fashion industry and having to keep up with it all. And it's really actually quite interesting to look at how these emotions affected his designs and his work, because, you know, it's obvious that his designs have some sort of dark background to them. They're very sinister, a bit uncomfortable. Why are his designs so dark? And you get to sort of look into the more personal side of it, which is obviously really good to see where he got his inspiration from. This week I feel I've been quite productive. It's been quite a bit of work looking into all of the designs and annotating, analysing and developing from them. A lot more work than I had anticipated. It took quite a bit of time, but I feel I did them really well. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to go, but I'm really happy with them, with the pages, with the research, and I think I'll be able to do a lot with them in development. I'm going to make sure I stay as closely to my time plan as possible. It's not that I'm not doing the work at the time it's meant to be done, it's just all of the work is taking a lot longer than I anticipated, so I'm going to have to, like I said earlier, look back through my time plan, take out things maybe that aren't necessary or relevant. From the notes I took on watching McQueen and I with Isabella Blow, I'm going to progress on those and write up all the relevant information I've taken from it. I'll also be moving on and looking into other artists, so that I'm moving away from just McQueen's work. The idea of the project is to not only look at McQueen and where he got his inspiration from, but also looking into how he has inspired others and how other people have taken his work and developed it onto their own. Obviously people are going to take and interpret his work in very different ways, so it would be cool to see how they've taken it on, what aspects of his work they found the most interesting and they've grasped. It would just allow me to look at McQueen's work from another angle. Overall, I think this week has been really productive. I think I've been good with getting on with work. I've had sort of a consistent workflow. And I feel I'm actually making progress and getting a really good start on the project. And of course, I need to work on time plan, see what's relevant, make sure I know what I'm doing. But other than that, I'll see you in the next vlog. Goodbye. Hello, today is Thursday the 12th of March. And this is my third diary entry. First of all, I looked over my time plan for this week. And at first I didn't take anything out. But as I was going along, I got to the McQueen fashion house and Sarah Burton and how she's taken over the fashion house. When I looked at it, all the designs were very similar to how it was before, and they hadn't really developed anything on, so I felt like I was kind of looking at the same thing. I didn't completely decide I was going to take it out, but I sort of skipped over it and moved on. I sort of looked back, I was like, you know what, I don't think that's actually going to really help my development. I wrote out all the relevant information from McQueen and I, and it was really great to look back over my notes and rewrite what I had learned. Writing all the information out made me really think about my opinions and my views on how he must have been feeling throughout it all. Obviously, no one will ever know exactly what was going on in his or Isabella Blow's mind or exactly how they were feeling. And I think the story of the two is completely open to interpretation. I think it's a good topic to talk about, especially when you're looking in depth into fashion and how personal lives can affect it and stuff. It's really, really good to look into. After that, I looked into university graduate work, and that was really interesting to see how different people interpreted it. That was completely what I wanted to get from it. It's really good to look into university graduates and not just well-known artists, because it allows me to discover and find new artists and designers which I otherwise wouldn't have found or looked at. Two of the graduates that I looked at were Maria Homansida and Mary Katransu, I think it's pronounced. They're both becoming incredibly successful. New to the industry, of course, but they're both doing really, really well. And Mary Benson, who's a little newer to the industry, so she's not quite as far as the other two, but she is doing really well. And all of their designs are really, really interesting, and they have such strong McQueen elements to them that you can see there's just so much inspiration from him, which is of course what I want to get out of my design. I want it to be obvious that that's where I've got my inspiration from, but of course I still want to change it up, make it more unique and original, so I'm not just sort of copying what he's done and put it on someone's face, you know. I also started looking into current high street retailers and the clothing that they sell and how that's been inspired by McQueen. The images, and I've started some annotation, but I haven't quite finished that yet. That's kind of interesting. I feel that maybe it's not quite